So it's 10 a.m. German time. Welcome to the PRTG Q2 Roadmap webinar inside PRTG. Topic for today is Unlock the Hidden Potential of PRTG. Welcome to all of you. What can we offer you today? So first of all, for those of you who've been with us in the previous webinars, you know the drill. Like, you can ask questions anytime using the Q&A option in Zoom. The participants are muted during the webinar, so don't you wonder about that. You will receive the recording afterwards. Also, if you cannot attend future webinars, this is kind of our standard procedure, that we will send you the recording afterwards. So this is quite convenient. And there will be a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. If we have the time, we have a lot of content to cover, but normally we do, and it's well received. So if you wonder who's talking to you, I'm Dominic. I'm a product marketing manager for Paessler for exactly 10 years now. Time flies. But I'm not as important as our speakers are. And our two speakers for today are David and Jonah, and they will introduce themselves. David.
Yeah, I'm David. I'm one of the product managers for PRTG. I've been with Paessler for 4 years, so not quite as long as Dominic, but still quite some time. My focus in my daily work is one on the API v2, and on the other part on the extension, some of them which we'll be talking about today, not all of them, but some of them. You, Jonah.
Yeah, thanks. Dominic, thanks for the intro. David, good to see you and work with you again. Jonah Cowell, I'm the SVP of Product and Design. Been with the company about 9 months or so, and I'm over in the US, so it's rather early here, as you can tell by my background. But looking forward to speaking with you today. I wanted to start out by just bringing folks up to speed on what we've done most recently, and just kind of talking a little bit about our most recent release. We do come out with new releases about every 3 months, and the last one was launched in early May. That's 106, in case you haven't updated. There's a whole slew of new things in this release. I'm not going to go into detail here, but there is quite a few new sensors, some enhancements and improvements in those sensors. And of course, a lot of work on the API. So those of you that are doing automations, maybe using the older API, it's a good idea to check out the new one. It's a lot more scalable. And we continue to build features on that. It's not completed yet, but it's come a really long way. The biggest new thing, definitely check out the new UI in the latest release. It's really improved, and there's a lot of really great functionality there. There's more coming for sure, but definitely check that out, and some other improvements. So stay tuned. To give you a little sneak preview on what's coming in the next couple of releases, both 108 and 110. A few of the major things that we're working on are sensor improvements, obviously even more improvements on the new user interface, which is kind of the direction that we're going on. Really nice onboarding wizards there, continuing to improve that. And then, of course, improving the API. Stay tuned, because there's also some other big announcements that'll be coming out around those releases, including enhanced scalability and a bunch of new things that are coming down the pipe. So appreciate everyone staying on top of what's going on, trying to make it easier for you to do your monitoring. So with that, we'll get into the details of the discussion today. We are going to be talking about database monitoring, which is an area that David is focused on. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and get into a few of the different ways we can provide better visibility into your databases. And then we have some really exciting new stuff coming for multi-server visualization and reporting. I think a lot of you are going to be really impressed and want to get your hands on that. So it's been a really hot topic for customers today. I'll be digging into some of the capabilities we have around logging and talks about some of our training and consulting services briefly. So with that, let's jump into the extensions. So just in case you're not familiar with the portfolio, I just wanted to give you a quick overview. So on the left-hand side there, we have our main 3 product offerings. In the center, we have the extensions, and we're going to be talking about several of those today. And then on the right, we have ways that we can help you and your team get the most out of the solution. So that's the services that we provide on the right-hand side. Some of these extensions come with your solution, so just be aware that you may not have to pay for those. We're going to continue to include more and more of those in your licenses, along with new capabilities. To give you a little understanding of the release trains, you can see the bigger releases on the bottom, PRTG, the major versions, which you can see just like Linux, the even numbers are stable releases, and we have unstable releases in between. But we do have these extensions coming out at a different cadence, so there's a lot of really great enhancements coming between the releases as we roll the extensions faster. So just be aware that there's new versions coming out of all the things that we're talking about here. And of course, there's early access to a lot of these as well. So definitely reach out and the team can help you, help us get your feedback on how we can make these extensions better and make monitoring easier for you. So with that, I will hand it over to David to take us through databases. Thanks, David.
All right, thanks, Jonah. Yeah, so first, let me give you an overview of database monitoring in the context of PRTG, and there are 2 parts there. The first one is the onboard database sensors that we have in PRTG, and then the second part will be about the PRTG database observer, which has some more advanced capabilities. So in PRTG, we have some native sensors for the most common database types. You can see them here. What these do is they query the database with some predefined queries to extract metrics, like the most typical ones, numbers of rows, execution time, but also you can put some custom metrics in there that will be queried. And then next slide, Dominic, we also have the WMI sensors for the MS SQL Server. So for these, we have sensors that collect performance metrics via WMI from these database types. That's what's on board in PRTG. If you have been monitoring databases, you're most likely familiar with that. Then there's the database observer. It's for you if you have some more advanced monitoring needs that go beyond the standard scope of what the onboard sensors provide. And that's what this extension is for. It's a standalone application that integrates with PRTG, and it brings advanced monitoring. So for one, it has the capabilities to monitor additional database types that you can see here. So more types than what we have native sensors for. That's one aspect, but even if you want to monitor some of the other database types that we do have sensors for, it makes sense to take a look at the database observer. So it has a large selection of out-of-the-box queries for typical aspects that database admins want to monitor. It provides an interface to manage those queries, to test them, develop new ones based on the existing ones. And then these are fed into PRTG, and then PRTG will monitor and notify you accordingly. So the goal with the database observer is really to give you the tools that you need to do serious database monitoring in PRTG. Yeah, before we go to the next section, Melanie has a poll for you, I believe.
So our first poll question for you, like especially interested in your opinion, if you have experience with database monitoring, which I assume many of you have. Which statement best reflects your database monitoring situation and needs? So I won't go through all the options, but I think they're quite clear, and we're very much looking forward to your feedback, and you are clicking a lot. So we have quite a similar distribution through 3 options. We're satisfied with PRTG's built-in database. we want to explore the database observer. And third, we don't require database monitoring for our environment. So we are obviously very happy if you look into the database observer and or are satisfied with the built-in solutions. And those seem to be the two options with the most.
It still looks like about half of people do database monitoring at least. So that's kind of the interesting insight, is that people are really looking at database monitoring. More than half of you do that, but not everyone needs it. So I think there's a lot of capabilities that are part of the solution, and obviously going deeper, I think, would help quite a few of you there. So thanks for the feedback. David, back to you. Sorry, I was just chiming in on that.
Oh, good.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad we mentioned the database observer today, because we see that roughly a third is interested in trying it out and seeing what it can offer, and only a small portion is actually using it already. So it's maybe a good reminder to check it out. Okay.
With that, we're proceeding to multi-server.
Yep. So after the database observer, that was the first extension we have today. We have a lot of extensions for you today. Now we have a group of extensions that are all relevant for those of you who use multiple PRTG servers. So as you probably know, the Enterprise Monitor license gives you the ability to install an unlimited number of servers. And there are numerous reasons to use multiple PRTG servers. One, scaling is one of them. But we also know that many of you do so because, for instance, you have a geographically distributed organization, or you want to monitor based on the org structure in general. You have different teams working with PRTG, or maybe you know, your network infrastructure. You kind of want to monitor different parts of that with different segmented servers. Whatever the reason may be, we have a number of extensions which will help you to stay in control and to satisfy your visualization and reporting needs, even when using multiple servers. Yeah, first of all, there's an update for the multi-board. I won't go into detail about how it works here because it's been covered quite extensively in the past. But just as a reminder, it's an application that can be used to set up and manage multiple PRTG servers. So it has the ability, like for multi-edit, even across servers, a probe transfer to transfer probes from one server to another, and quite a few more just tools to manage and stay in control of those servers. The two updates we have here, first of all, is now that there's SSO support in different aspects. So for one, if you're using SSO to authenticate with PRTG, it's now fully supported also to log in with the multi-board via SSO. This is even possible when you have multiple servers with different identity providers. That's something that you might see in an MSP setup. So where PRTG is hosted in the client infrastructure and uses the identity provider of that client. But then the MSP employees can use multiboard to administer those remotely and to log into each of them. Also, the second aspect, sorry, one back, Dominic, it's possible to set up multiboard as a separate application in your SSO provider. And so you can manage manage access to the multiboard itself via SSO. That's another option that you have there. Right, and the second improvement for multiboard is a feature that's coming this month. It's by popular request from some of our strategic partners. You can also now install it in VDI environments from vendors like Citrix, Amazon, Microsoft, and VMware. So if that's relevant for you, that's something you can check out. Okay, next is another extension we want to show you. It's SLA Reporter. It's for you if you have stakeholders who expect certain SLAs from you. It's also a standalone application. It allows you to configure your SLAs. It gives you the ability to automatically generate and distribute reports, and provides pre-configured reports as well. And important to know, if you have some very specific reporting needs, the data is taken, so the monitoring data from PRTG and also the SLA information is stored in a separate database that you can access if you have some third-party reporting tool that you need to use because of some very specific needs that aren't covered, maybe even by SLA Reporter. So yeah, this extension is for you if you need to know the status of at every single point in time and report on your SLAs. if you have reporting needs that go beyond the reports in PRTG, or if you have multiple PRTG servers and you need to calculate and report on SLAs across them, then this is something that you can check out. On the next screen, we have some example reports. We won't go into detail now, but you know where to find the information. You can look on the website. There's a video on the website, or of course, you can download the trial and try it out for yourself. Right. PRTG Data Exporter. It's another extension that can be used with multiple PRTG servers. It's for you. Also, it exports the data, but with a bit of a different focus. So it's for you if you want to export your data and then use it for with a specific reporting tool, for instance. Or if you need to do reporting with data from multiple servers, you need to do reports across them, then you can export your data all into one database and do the reports there. Another aspect is, since the data is exported from PRTG and put in another database, if you have reporting needs, you need to have reports that run over long time frames. And you want to avoid having any negative performance impact on PRTG when doing those long-running queries for, with lots of all the granular metrics, then this is also something that you can do because it'll be separated and won't impact your PRTG when you're running the reports. Yeah, there's a number of database types, the most common relational database types supported. Our goal here is really to give you the option to use whatever database type that you already rely on in your organization, that you're familiar with, that you feel comfortable with. Okay, yeah, so to sum it up, Data Exporter is for you if you're interested in the metrics, the actual channel values, both the current and historic values. If you have reporting needs that require that you work with the metrics from PRTG outside of PRTG, if you need reports that go beyond what the onboard reports in PRTG have to offer, or if you prefer to use a specific reporting tool in your organization, then that's something for you. However, I have one more point. That's the existing feature scope of Data Exporter, but there's a feature coming in Q3 of this year that's not released yet. And I'll give you a little sneak peek into what it's about. Basically, what it does, it allows you to visualize your data from multiple PRTG servers in unified dashboards and the popular dashboarding tool Grafana. So you can build dashboards there. Here's some screenshots to give you an idea of what these might look like. So this one is a high-level overview of the group status of multiple connected PRTG servers. This view, it covers all the groups it finds, but then you can customize it by filtering. So you can filter, you can say, I only want certain groups. You can filter by tags, say, I only want to have the groups that have a certain tag connected to it or certain sensor types. So that way, this kind of view can be customized. And the next screenshot, yeah, just an alternative view. We've been doing quite a lot of testing with early pilot customers to find out views that really create value. So what we have here is just high-level summary at the top. In this case, it's 3 servers, 81 groups, 25,000 sensors. And we can see what the status is. And then in the bottom part, we see the sensors that are in a down state, so we can manage them right away. And again, here, you can customize. Can you stay there, Dominic, for a second? Thanks. You can customize by filtering by groups and devices for what's relevant for you or for whoever is working with it. So for example, if you create a dashboard for the team that takes care of the switches, you can use groups or tags, depending on how you structure it, to create a view that just includes those switches and then share this dashboard with your internal stakeholders. Yeah, and then last screenshot I brought. So beyond the simple status information, something is up or down and warning or pause state, you can also have charts showing the historic data, because the data exporter does also export the historic data. So what you see here, for instance, is CPU usage, memory usage for multiple probes on multiple PRTG servers. So all combined in one chart. So there's a CPU chart, and then you have all the probes. So you can combine data like that and have build the views that you need to do your daily monitoring work. Okay. Yeah, these screenshots, they were just a teaser about the type of dashboards that are possible. Here's a diagram. I just want to make sure you understand how this this new option will work, how the tooling works. So in the box at the bottom, you see data exporter and what it's doing. I explained before, right? So it collects data from PRTG servers and stores that data in a database. And then the functionality that we're adding is the light blue box at the top. It's two things. First, data exporter will help you to easily connect Grafana to those databases where the data is stored using the onboard database data source plugins from Grafana. So basically, you tell Grafana, you give it your credentials, and you give data exporter your credentials for Grafana, and then data exporter will set it up for you. And it'll create some out-of-the-box dashboards in Grafana to the tune of what you just saw in the screenshots. So to make it easy to benefit from those dashboards.
Yeah, David, you received a lot of positive feedback via the emojis. I'm not sure if you noticed that, but there was a lot of love.
I did, yeah. Thanks.
And now we have our second and final poll of the day. The question is, how important is the integration of forwarding tools, for example, our own Data Hub with PRTG for your monitoring workflows and what you use it for? So again, we are very interested in your opinion here.
Yeah, this is already for the next topic, right?
We'll
so
be digging into this.
We are teasing a little bit.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, there's already a lot of engagement here. And as already teased, like we will come to the Data Hub in just a minute. And again, like there's fairly distributed amongst our potential answers.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are solving this with other tools today too. So this is more of an easier, maybe less expensive way for you to do it. That's what we're bringing to the table. And of course, it does more than just logging, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So Dominic, anything else you wanted to talk about on this poll?
No, I think that's good enough, and we will certainly look into the results a little bit afterwards also. So thanks for your feedback, and with that, I hand it over to Jonah.
Sure, thank you, appreciate it. All right, you can go to the next slide.
I already clicked, like
it's a little slow, yeah.
It's a delay.
So let's talk a little bit about logging and some of the things that that we're offering with our new Data Hub extension, which was released towards the end of last year. It's a pretty powerful technology that's used to manage both logs and SNMP traps. So it does more than just logging, and it gives you really powerful control of where you want to send your logs to. A lot of people will call this a log pipeline. You've probably seen this term if you're in the monitoring or observability space. And it really just helps you distribute the right logs to the right tools. As you know, there's different tools for different teams, whether it's your operations team, your SRE team, DevOps team, and your security team, all kind of need different subsets of this data. So how do you provide this the right way? We believe that Data Hub can do that. So it allows you to both filter the data, send the right data to the right platform. So you could do that by IP address, by message type. We're going to show you some of the ways that you can filter and route data. And of course, it lets you take logs from PRTG itself. So we have a new feature I'll talk about for audit logging that makes that nice and easy. You know, potentially your security team would be interested in that, and just really allows you to make sure that you have the right data visible to the right teams to troubleshoot issues quickly. So this can also do a really interesting feature, which is it can send status changes. So let's say a monitor goes from green to, or a sensor goes from green to yellow. that can be in a log and be sent as well, which is pretty powerful. So it kind of can give you status changes and give you a nice history in your standard kind of logging tool or even a log file to be able to look at that, which is pretty interesting and really gives you granular visibility into your PRTG system itself. If you can go to the next slide, please. So this is kind of a little really basic example of Data Hub. It's taking in on the left-hand side SNMP and syslog, and then it's basically filtering. And there's a few different types of filters. Here's an example of an IP filter, text filter, and a syslog filter for message type and severity. And then you can pick how you route that data specifically to different tools, including PRTG itself, because of course we can monitor syslog and traps. So you can send that to various probes or even your cores as well to be able to do the monitoring there. This is configured with a YAML file, so it's command line based. Currently, this runs on Linux, but the Windows release will be coming soon. And yeah, it's a really nice technology. So as I mentioned, next month we will have the Windows version to make it nice and easy. You can also run this Dockerized. So even if you're not a Linux pro, you can run this in a Docker container. It works really well that way. And the big feature that we're adding this year is to be able to pull Windows event logs. So this will make it really nice for you to maybe get rid of some of the other tools and use this to consolidate event logs or potentially send those to different logging systems. So if you're interested in that, which there seems to be quite a few of you, we're happy to get you into the beta as we start testing that. So definitely reach out to us as that comes to fruition. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about PRTG itself. I alluded to the fact that we recently added a new feature, which is our audit log feature. If you can go to the next slide, please. And so you'll notice if you're running a recent release, I believe this came out in 104, I want to say. So it's recent this year. And you'll notice that there's this audit log configuration where you can take this data, add it to the PRTG log itself. So this allows you to look at all of the different changes that are being done on the monitoring system itself, make it easy to understand any sort of changes that are happening on the system. Obviously, if your monitoring is changing, it's a compliance issue. You want to make sure that things are set up right, that there's proper change control, and this can really help you get visibility into that by putting it into a log, sending it to another system where you can keep a nice system of record of the changes. So a cool feature that you can all take advantage of as long as you're running a version of our product from this year. So next slide, thanks. So I wanted to spend a minute talking about training and consulting because we don't talk about it much, but training's definitely very popular. So we have a couple of offerings here from our services team. One is the training. So we have an entry level kind of getting started with PRTG. It's a really good way to get folks on board. We do those with instructor-led training remotely. If you have a big team, we can send someone there to actually do the training in person. Sometimes it's more cost-effective. And then we have an expert level that's very deep training that goes into a lot of really detailed configuration, scripting. There's a lot of things that are covered in that course, so it's pretty deep on that side. We are looking into like how we can do more computer-based automated training, so stay tuned for that to make training even easier. And then if you need a little bit more in depth, you want someone to help with your configuration, to help you deal with, you have too many alerts, you don't know how to deal with the alerting system. We do health checks as well as part of consulting, which is reviewing your system, giving you advice on what you can improve. Also, something that we're looking at productizing more and more is give you clear, actionable insights on what you can do in your PRTG instance to improve it. So we'll do a lot of different things in the consulting side. You can definitely reach out and we can put together something for you, the team of consultants that we have. So just wanted to put it out there for folks that are curious, and I think that's kind of about it, right?
That's it. Yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jonah. Thanks,
Sure.
David. So both of you have been drowning in positive reactions. So that's always great to see. And even now, like, keep them coming. It's good for the soul. And also, like, obviously, your feedback is very much appreciated, and we very much rely on it. We're perfect in time. So as you, some of you already had some questions in the chat, like our colleague Maximilian took care of that. But now we have like around 10 minutes for a Q&A session. And with that, I would hand over to Maximilian, and he can bring up some questions that haven't been answered yet in the chat, and we can answer them for the whole group. So, Max.
Exactly. Thank you. And thanks to the audience for all these questions. It's been quite a number of questions. Some of them we answered live in writing, but let's go to the open ones. I start from top to bottom. We have Thomas Johansson asking, more and more companies have a plan to work more and more with cloud. Do you have any plans to create more sensors for Microsoft Azure? For example, function apps, APMI, security groups, etc. Jonah likes to answer this.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so I think there's a couple of answers here. It's something related to what Dominic was saying, where we're trying to collect your feedback. We are going to be opening a forum where you can actually provide suggestions and feature requests, and then you can vote on them. This is something we're hoping to roll out in the next couple of months. And that's a great topic for this type of thing, because we don't really exactly know what the demand is. There's so many major cloud providers and services. Amazon alone has over 300 services. Azure's not too far behind. There's a lot of different things that you can monitor through them. The one thing to keep in mind is that our Python scripting capability makes it very flexible to do what you need to do. If you haven't tried it yet, I suggest asking an LLM to build a Python sensor for you in PRTG. It will do a great job scripting it in general, and that can help you gather a few metrics that you need that are key that maybe there isn't a sensor for. But I recommend that you suggest those features when we do launch our new feature request system, or vote on them if they're already there. And that'll help us gauge the demand for new sensors, because we do continue to build them. But thanks, Thomas.
Then I move on with Ulf Ratzak wanting to know, does the SLA reporter has to be licensed separately? And I'd like to answer this one. Representative basically for all the extensions that have been presented today. The short answer is yes. All extensions do have a separate license and getting installed separately. So from a technical point of view, they are a separate piece of software. However, I strongly suggest that you check out, depending on your PRTG license, if you are entitled to use some extensions free of charge. Maybe you are an enterprise monitor customer, then it applies to some, or how you like to purchase the extensions. The next one. Roland Gasser is asking, is there a plan to support group managed service accounts in the future? Due to security reasons, this would be very important for us. I don't know personally from the top of my head. If some of my colleagues knows, fine, jump in. Otherwise, in general, we will get back to you with answers, even if we don't cover them today.
Yeah, I have heard this request a couple of times in my customer calls, so I will say that you're not the only person asking for it, Roland. But once again, we don't know the demand here. It's definitely a relatively new feature from Microsoft, but it's one that solves a long time pain point that we all have managing Windows environments. So I do see us supporting it in the future. The question is when and what's the demand. So I'll once again encourage when we do have our feature request system, vote on it. If it gets voted on a lot, we'll prioritize it accordingly because it is something that I think will be more prevalent over time.
The next one from Mr. Long, I would say, can we filter the logs within the PRTG server or make stats from the log information? I'm not sure what you mean with filtering the logs within the PRTG server. In my opinion, I would say this was referring to the part of the presentation where we have presented the Data Hub for filtering the logs outside of the PRTG system itself, and then basically inject it in the way that's convenient for you. Making statistics from the log information might refer to what we've shown you with the feature of the audit expert, that you are able to export log information from your PRTG, and then you are free to process these logs in an after process. This would be my best answer to you. If we didn't cover what you meant, just reach out to us again, please. The next one from Prasad Govda. Will it allow parsing of data using regex, for example, Apache or Nginx logs?
Yeah, so I'll answer that one. It does not do the type of parsing that you're talking about because it's not designed as a log ingest system. It only allows filtering, for example. So you could take your Apache logs and let's say route them to a specific endpoint, but it does not do any type of parsing because we're not formatting it for ingestion. So it doesn't necessarily replace your log ingestion tool, which does parsing. If you're using something like Logstash or other type of tools that do parsing and data structuring, it does not do that. It just does filtering and routing. So hopefully that answers that one. And I can take the next one because it's also Data Hub related, which is from Jean-Philippe. He is asking for Data Hub, what is the EPS, events per second limit? And is there a clustering possibility to enhance EPS? So the Data Hub is stateless. So you can run as many Data Hubs as you want in different parts of your environment. The EPS is going to generally be dictated by the type of machine and the network. It is doing very lightweight processing, and this is written in Rust, so it's very efficient. So I would say that most of the time, the network will be the bottleneck in terms of throughput. In terms of clustering, we are doing some work with a customer right now on clustering it, more for active passive. They want failover. And so we're potentially looking at using something like Nginx to load balance that way, but that's more for failover purposes. So stay tuned. We don't have a, failover clustering setup for it yet, but it's something we're looking at having as a possibility. So hopefully that helps. Thanks.
So Max, I would say we take one more question. Then, I mean, it's a good thing. It's too many to answer in this live call, but we will see to all of your questions afterwards. So rest assured.
Exactly. This is what I told before. This is good practice that we cover all questions in the aftermath and get back to you in writing. Thomas Johansson asking any plans to make it work with Kubernetes. I have to speculate which topic you've been referring to. I guess it was the data hub from the timestamp, but I'm not sure what it work is referring to. So we probably jump this one before I'm making any assumptions. Marco Parlato is asking, wonderful, the data collector is what I was looking for. With PRTG as a main tool, is Linux version demanding a specific hardware resources? Not that I'm aware of.
That's a quick one, Max.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. As said before, like we will answer all of your questions afterwards. So might take up to 24 hours-ish, but we will get to you. And like at least one of you asked, and just a reminder, you will get the recording of this webinar and every future Inside PRTG webinar afterwards with your email address. So if you are not able to attend live, rest assured you will get the recording afterwards. That being said, like a huge thank you to all the presenters, to all the people in the background doing the magic there, and especially to all of you who attended today. Like I think we all agree that has been a good one. And once again, just keep it coming. I live for that. Yeah. So thanks for the positive emojis in the chat. Yeah, no matter which time zone you are, I wish you have a great rest of the day. And yeah, take care. Bye-bye.